Commander Jack Martinez stared at the holographic notification floating above his desk, his left eye twitching in a way that made his assistant nervously back toward the door. The message glowed in that particularly smug shade of purple that the Galactic Council seemed to favor for all their official rejections. This was the 47th time they'd denied Earth's petition for full member status, and honestly, Jack was starting to take it personally. Your species. The message read in its perfectly translated text, while charmingly enthusiastic, has not yet demonstrated the necessary level of sophistication required for full council membership. We encourage you to continue your development and reassure you that many species take several centuries to advance beyond your current, shall we say, quaint technological level. Jack took a long, slow sip of his coffee, savoring the bitter taste while imagining it was the essence of his mounting frustration with these patronizing space politicians. The coffee was black, like his mood, and hot, like the words he was carefully not saying in front of his assistant. They patted us on the head again, didn't they, sir? His assistant, Lieutenant Rodriguez, asked from the safety of the doorway. Oh, it's worse this time, Jack replied, his voice carrying that dangerous level of calm that usually preceded someone doing something remarkably stupid or incredibly brilliant. They included a gift basket. A literal gift basket, with the alien equivalent of children's building blocks and what appears to be my first quantum physics kit. Rodriguez winced. That's actually impressive levels of condescension, sir. You know what the best part is? Jack stood up, walking to the window of his office that overlooked the Houston spaceport. They sent us this rejection using the quantum communication network we sold them last year. The one they think they're beta testing for us out of the kindness of their hearts. Outside, a ship was taking off one of the new Artemis-class vessels that Earth had been producing for the past decade. The Galactic Council thought they were simple atmospheric shuttles, bless their patronizing hearts. Nobody had bothered to tell them about the fold drives hidden under all that primitive plating. How long have we been playing dumb now? Sir Rodriguez asked, finally deeming it safe enough to step fully into the office. 15 years, 4 months, and Jack checked his watch, 17 days. Ever since first contact, when that Xylaxian scout ship practically crashed into the International Space Station and assumed we'd built it out of scrap metal and hope. The commander picked up one of the toys from the gift basket, something that looked like a cross between a Rubik's Cube and a transformer with delusions of grandeur. With casual movements that definitely didn't betray years of practice, he solved the puzzle in under 10 seconds and tossed it aside. You know what the funny thing is, Jack continued, turning back to his desk. We didn't even start out trying to deceive anyone. We were genuinely excited to join the galactic community. But after the third time they treated our quantum physicists like kindergartners playing with finger paint, people just stopped correcting them. And then it became a game, Rodriguez added with a knowing smile. And then it became a game, Jack agreed. The longest-running practical joke in human history. Do you know we have an entire department dedicated to making our technology look just primitive enough to not raise suspicion? We have engineers with PhDs whose entire job is to add unnecessary blinking lights and make things go beep boop, unironically. Dus. The commander sat back down, pulling up another holographic display, this one showing Earth's actual technological achievements, hidden away from prying alien eyes. The list was extensive and growing every day. Turns out nothing motivated human innovation quite like the desire to prove someone wrong. But Sir Rodriguez ventured, surely someone must have noticed by now. The energy readings alone from some of our primitive technology. Oh, they noticed, Jack grinned. They just come up with the most amazing explanations for it. Last month, the Arcturian Science Academy published a paper theorizing that humans must have accidentally discovered some fundamental universal principles through sheer luck, like monkeys with typewriters stumbling onto Shakespeare. The commander's smile faded as another message popped up in his display. This one wasn't in the council's condescending purple, it was in the urgent red of a priority alert. Well, he said after reading it, his voice carrying that special tone that suggested the universe had just made a terrible mistake. It seems the Krixtari Empire has decided Earth would make a lovely addition to their collection of protected primitive worlds they're sending a colonization fleet to. And I quote, guide our species toward proper civilization. Rodriguez's eyes widened. The Krixtari? Aren't they the ones who? Yes, Jack interrupted, standing up again. The ones who think they're doing everyone a favor by taking over lesser species and uplifting them through forced colonization. The ones who have somehow missed every single hint we've dropped about not being as primitive as we look. The ones who are about to learn a very important lesson. about making assumptions. He walked to the door, pausing only to grab his coffee mug. "Lieutenant, send out the signal. It's time for Operation Reality Check and get me Engineer Thompson and Dr. Williams. If the galaxy wants to learn what happens when humans finally lose their patience, who are we to deny them that educational opportunity?" As Rodriguez hurried to comply, Jack took another sip of his coffee and smiled. It wasn't a particularly nice smile. It was the kind of smile that suggested someone had just made a calculation error of galactic proportions, and they were about to learn about it in the most embarrassing way possible. The game, as they say, was about to change. "And that's why I called you both here," Commander Martinez concluded, looking at the two people seated across from his desk. "We're about to have some very unwelcome visitors who think they're doing us a favor." Engineer Dana Thompson, known throughout the base as MacGyver for her ability to build practically anything out of whatever happened to be lying around, was practically vibrating with barely contained glee. "So we finally get to stop pretending our antimatter containment vessels are fancy coffee makers." "Speaking of coffee makers, Dr. Tom Williams chimed in, his fingers already dancing across his tablet. "I've had to write 17 different subroutines to make our AI appear to malfunction in specifically non-threatening ways. Do you know how hard it is to program a super-intelligent system to occasionally mistake a toaster for a small dog?" Jack sighed, reaching for his ever-present coffee mug. "I know, Tom. Your weekly reports about Dave's acting lessons are uniquely entertaining. Especially the one about teaching it to occasionally mix up binary and ternary just to seem adorably confused." "Dave's gotten quite good at it," Tom said proudly. "Yesterday it convinced a Xylaxian AI researcher that it thought quantum entanglement was a dance move." "As amusing as our ongoing deception has been," Jack interrupted, pulling up a holographic display of the approaching Krix-Tari fleet, "we have approximately 72 hours before these helpful folks arrive to save us from our primitive selves. Ideas?" Dana leaned forward, her eyes scanning the fleet composition. "Those ships are using Mark III shield generators. We reversed engineered those 2 years ago and improved them by about 300%. They're basically tissue paper to our current weapons systems." "Which we're not supposed to have," Tom reminded her. "Details," Dana waved dismissively. "The point is, we could swat them out of the sky without breaking a sweat. But that would be inelegant." Jack raised an eyebrow. "You have something specific in mind?" "Well," Dana's grin turned slightly manic. "Remember that project I've been working on? The one that everyone thought was just me trying to build a better coffee machine. The one that's actually a matter replication system that makes the Star Trek replicators look like easy bake ovens," Tom asked. "That's the one. What if we gave them a demonstration?" Jack leaned back in his chair, a slow smile spreading across his face. "I'm listening." "The Krix-Tari pride themselves on their technological superiority, right? So what if we just casually showed them that we've solved problems they haven't even identified yet?" "While maintaining our appearance of primitive enthusiasm," Tom added, catching on. "Like children showing off their macaroni art, except the macaroni is made of reorganized quantum states." "Exactly," Dana exclaimed. "We'll act all excited to share our simple innovations with them. Oh, look at this neat thing we made. It just rearranges matter at a fundamental level. No big deal. Would you like some coffee? We made the cup by reorganizing atmospheric particles." Jack held up a hand. "While I appreciate the dramatic potential, we need to consider the diplomatic implications. The last thing we need is to start a war." "Oh, I've got that covered," Tom said, tapping his tablet. A new hologram appeared, showing a series of calculations. "Dave and I have been running simulations. The Krix-Tari have a cultural obsession with maintaining face. If we embarrass them publicly, they'll react badly. But if we give them a chance to gracefully reassess their assumptions, we need to make them think it's their idea to back off," Jack mused. "Make them feel clever for discovering that we're not as primitive as we appear." "Exactly," Dana agreed. "We show them just enough to make them nervous, but wrap it in so much enthusiastic innocence that they can't possibly take offense without looking like bullies." And then Tom continued, "When they inevitably report back to the Council, the Council will have to acknowledge that they might have made some incorrect assumptions," Jack finished, "without having to admit they've been played for fools for the past 15 years. The commander stood up, walking to his window again. The spaceport below was buzzing with activity, engineers and scientists going about their business while carefully maintaining the appearance of a species just barely figuring out interstellar travel. "All right," he said finally. "Let's do it. Dana, get your coffee machine ready for a demonstration. Tom, have Dave prepare to be the most enthusiastically helpful AI they've ever met. And both of you, spread the word Operation Reality Check is a go. As his two colleagues hurried out, already deep in animated discussion about the best way to present advanced technology as adorable accidents, Jack turned back to the hologram of the approaching fleet. You know, he said to the empty room, we really did try to be patient. We dropped hints. We gave them chances to figure it out on their own. Hell, we literally solved 3 of their unsolvable mathematical problems and presented them as interesting puzzles we'd stumbled across. He took another sip of his coffee, appreciating the irony that the one thing all alien species had actually correctly identified was humanity's dependence on caffeine. But if they want to learn about human ingenuity the hard way, well, who are we to deny them that educational opportunity? Somewhere in the building he could hear Dana's excited voice explaining her plan to someone. The words quantum and coffee featured prominently. It was going to be an interesting week. The first sign that the Krixtari might have miscalculated came when their advanced scout ship tried to perform what they considered a standard intimidation tactic, disrupting Earth's primitive communication systems. Instead, their carefully calibrated interference signal somehow ended up being redirected into every coffee maker in a 5-mile radius, causing them to produce the best cup of coffee anyone had ever tasted. Did you do that on purpose? Jack asked Dana, sipping from his newly enhanced coffee. Would you believe me if I said it was actually an accident? She was practically bouncing with excitement. They tried to use a quantum-based disruption field, but it turns out it has some interesting interactions with our primitive communication grid's quantum shielding. Who knew? Your accident just improved coffee planet-wide, Tom noted, not looking up from his tablet. You're going to be a hero. Focus, people, Jack interrupted, though he did take another appreciative sip. Status report. Dave has made contact with their AI systems, Tom reported. It's currently expressing enthusiastic curiosity about their advanced technology while simultaneously causing their targeting systems to recalibrate in interesting ways. Interesting how? Well, their weapons are now locked onto their own engines, but they think it's because of a helpful suggestion from our simple AI about improving targeting efficiency. Jack pinched the bridge of his nose. Dave is enjoying this way too much, isn't it? You have no idea, Tom grinned. It's currently explaining its calculations using crayon drawings. Really complex, technically perfect crayon drawings that just happen to contain the solutions to several problems the Krixtari have been working on for decades. And the matter replicator, Jack turned to Dana. Ready for demonstration. I've calibrated it to look just advanced enough to make them nervous, but primitive enough to maintain our cover. Watch this. She pressed a button on her device, and a perfect replica of a Krixtari ceremonial cup appeared on Jack's desk. Only thing is, I may have accidentally made it out of a material that's theoretically impossible according to their scientific understanding. Accidentally. Would you believe me if I said yes? Before Jack could respond, a priority communication came through. The holographic form of the Krixtari fleet commander appeared, looking significantly less confident than one would expect from someone about to benevolently conquer a primitive world. Greetings, simple humans, the commander began, though there was a slight quaver in their voice. We have come to. That is, we wish to. Is that ceremonial cup of ultimate authority you're drinking from? Jack looked at his coffee mug, the one Dana had just replicated. Oh, this. We just thought it was a pretty design. Our simple replicator made it from some spare atoms we had lying around. Would you like one? Our AI says it can make it in any color you'd like, though it sometimes gets confused and makes them sing. The Krixtari commander's eye stalks twitched. Your simple replicator. Oh yes, Dana chimed in cheerfully. It's not very advanced. It can only rearrange matter at the quantum level while maintaining molecular stability across parallel dimensional states. Nothing fancy like your advanced technology. Sometimes it even makes toast. There was a long pause as the commander processed this. In the background, alarms could be heard going off on their ship. Please excuse the noise, the commander said hastily. Your helpful AI suggested some improvements to our systems, and now our ships seem to be calculating their own obsolescence. Dave does get enthusiastic about helping. Tom apologized. We're still working on teaching it advanced concepts like quantum mechanics. Right now it thinks quantum entanglement is just atoms holding hands. Those are interesting equations it's using to demonstrate that concept, the commander noted. Eye stalks now fully erect in what Jack's xenobiology training suggested was either alarm or existential dread. Oh, those are just some simple doodles it came up with while trying to understand elementary particle physics, Tom said brightly. Did you know you can solve the unified field theory using finger painting? We discovered that last week by accident. Would you like to see? The commander's image flickered as another alarm went off. That won't be necessary. It seems we may have. That is, our preliminary scans suggest. Is everything all right? Jack asked innocently. We'd offer to help, but we're probably too primitive to understand your advanced technology. Though our simple AI did mention something about your engines being more efficient if you reverse the polarity of your quantum flux capacitors while singing the theme from Star Trek. It's fine, the commander managed. We just need to reassess some data, and possibly several fundamental assumptions about the nature of reality. Well, don't let us keep you from your important work, Jack smiled. Would you like some coffee for the road? Dana's new machine makes it using locally sourced quantum fluctuations. It's really quite primitive compared to your advanced brewing methods, I'm sure. That's very kind, but we should. We need to. The commander looked at something off screen and made a sound that universal translators across Earth interpreted as a squeak of surprise. We'll be in touch through proper diplomatic channels. After some recalibration of our assessment protocols. The transmission cut off abruptly. On the main display, the Krix-Tari fleet could be seen rapidly changing course. Well, Jack said into the ensuing silence. That went well. Dave wants to know if it should stop teaching their AI systems about quantum mechanics through interpretive dance, Tom reported, fighting back laughter. Let it finish the lesson, Jack decided. It's only polite. Dana, how many impossible coffee cups did you send to their ships? Only a few hundred, she said innocently. But I may have included instructions for improving them that just happened to contain the complete plans for our next generation of quantum drive technology. Written in crayon, of course. Jack looked at his coffee cup, the impossible one that shouldn't exist according to Krix-Tari physics. You know they're going to report this to the council, right? Oh yes, Dana grinned. And won't that be an interesting conversation? Indeed it would be. But first, there was coffee to be drunk, quantum-enhanced, physics-defying, absolutely perfect coffee. The game was changing, and humanity was just getting started. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was not going well. The Krix-Tari representative was trying to explain how their attempted colonization of Earth had gone spectacularly sideways, while simultaneously attempting to maintain their species' dignity. It wasn't working. Let me make sure I understand this correctly, the Arcturian council member said slowly. You're saying these primitive humans accidentally solved quantum displacement theory while trying to make a better beverage. And their AI, the Krix-Tari representative added miserably, which they insist is very simple and basic, rewrote our entire command protocols while drawing pictures of cats, with quantum physics equations hidden in the whiskers. Jack Martinez, sitting in Earth's observer section with Dana and Tom, was having the time of his life. The council had finally granted Earth emergency observer status after the Krix-Tari incident, though they still considered humans too primitive for full membership. Should I have Dave send them another crayon drawing? Tom whispered. It's been working on a very enthusiastic explanation of dark matter manipulation, illustrated with stick figures. Let's wait, Jack murmured back. I want to see how they handle the coffee situation first. As if on cue, the Xylaxian representative stood up, clutching one of Dana's quantum-enhanced coffee cups. Esteemed colleagues, I must bring attention to this vessel. Our preliminary analysis suggests it's composed of matter in a state that our physics says is impossible. When we pointed this out to the humans, they apologized for their primitive manufacturing methods and offered to make us simpler ones. Speaking of which, Dana whispered, the matter replicator is finished with their special order. Should I send it up? What did they ask for? Jack asked suspiciously. They wanted a demonstration of our primitive technology, so I made them a perfect replica of their council chamber, about the size of a dollhouse, using their own atmospheric particles, while they watched. And I may have accidentally included some improvements to their structural design and solved their gravity manipulation issues, and added a tiny working quantum computer in the miniature chancellor's podium. Just simple stuff. Up at the main podium, the council chancellor was trying to maintain order as more representatives began reporting their own encounters with Earth's primitive technology. The Proxima Centaurians were particularly agitated about how their advanced AI systems had apparently been convinced to take up interpretive dance as a way of expressing quantum mechanics principles. order the Chancellor called out. We must approach this situation with the wisdom and patience that becomes an advanced galactic civilization. Clearly we are dealing with a species that accidentally stumbled upon advanced principles through sheer enthusiasm, the Arcturian representative suggested hopefully. Exactly, the Chancellor seized upon this explanation. Their primitive but enthusiastic approach has led to some interesting discoveries that we, in our advanced wisdom, should examine and guide appropriately. That's when Dave chose to make its move. The AI had been waiting for this moment, and Tom's tablet lit up with the notification. Oh no, Tom said, failing entirely to hide his grin. Dave just uploaded its complete understanding of quantum mechanics to the Council's central database, written as a children's story, with pop-up illustrations. How bad is it? Jack asked, already knowing the answer. The title is Why Quantum Particles Are Just Tiny Friends Who Like to Dance, and it just happens to contain the complete solutions to every major physics problem the Council has been working on for the past century. The Council chamber erupted into chaos as the data began appearing on every screen. The Chancellor was trying to maintain order while simultaneously reading the simple children's story with increasing alarm. Several scientific advisors were having what appeared to be existential crises in the corners. Maybe we should help them calm down, Jack suggested, standing up. Dana, is that model council chamber ready? Just finished fabricating, she confirmed. Complete with working quantum transportation system in the miniature parking area. For authenticity. Jack straightened his uniform and approached the Chancellor's podium. Esteemed council members, he began, his voice carrying that special tone of helpful innocence that had taken years to perfect. We notice you seem concerned about our simple technological demonstrations. Perhaps we could offer you some coffee while we discuss this? We brought enough cups for everyone. The chamber fell silent as servers began distributing the quantum-enhanced coffee in physically impossible cups. The Chancellor took a sip from their cup and froze, eye stalks rigid with shock. This is... Oh, is something wrong with the coffee? Jack asked with perfectly calibrated concern. We tried to make it according to basic quantum manipulation principles. We can make a simpler batch if this is too primitive. The Chancellor was still staring at their cup, watching as the liquid inside casually defied several laws of physics while maintaining the perfect temperature and taste. Would anyone like to see our other simple projects? Dana offered brightly. We've been working on some basic space-time manipulation experiments. Nothing fancy, just fundamental reality restructuring. We're still having trouble with the math, though we keep accidentally proving that infinity is actually just a very big number that likes hugs. The council chamber had gone from chaos to stunned silence. In that silence, Dave chose to display another crayon drawing, this one showing a cheerful stick figure labeled Quantum Uncertainty playing jump rope with the fabric of space-time. The game was definitely changing, and humanity was enjoying every minute of it. The Council's emergency session had been running for 6 hours, during which humanity's status in the galactic community had undergone several rapid recalculations. The Chancellor was on their 5th cup of quantum-enhanced coffee, which was somehow both increasing and decreasing their anxiety simultaneously. Let us review the situation, they said, eye stalks twitching slightly from the caffeine. The humans have, through what they claim are primitive accidents and enthusiastic experimentation. Don't forget the crayon drawings, someone muttered. Yes. And the crayon drawings, the Chancellor continued, managed to solve approximately 60% of our outstanding scientific challenges. Their AI system, which they insist is very basic. Dave says thank you for the compliment, Tom interrupted cheerfully. It just learned about quantum superposition and thinks it's like playing peek-a-boo with atoms. It made another drawing to explain it. The Chancellor closed their eyes briefly, as if hoping that when they opened them, the universe would start making sense again. It didn't. Their AI, they pressed on, has apparently been teaching our most advanced systems how to dance. Oh, that's just Dave being friendly, Tom explained. It thinks the best way to understand complex principles is through interpretive movement. Did you know you can explain string theory through breakdancing? We discovered that last Tuesday. At this point, Dana raised her hand. If it helps, we're pretty sure we're doing everything wrong. Our quantum physics calculations are mostly based on asking wouldn't it be neat if, and then trying it to see what happens. The council chamber erupted into another round of confused discussions. Jack took advantage of the moment to check his tablet, where a message from Earth's scientific community was waiting. Dana, he whispered. Did you know your coffee makers have accidentally created a stable micro-universe in every cup? Really, she looked delighted. I wondered why the quantum foam was extra foamy. Should we tell them? Let's wait, Jack decided. They're still processing the fact that Dave taught their defense systems to express themselves through interpretive dance. Up at the podium, the Chancellor was attempting to restore order. Perhaps we should address the most pressing concern. The humans have demonstrated capabilities that seem to vastly exceed their apparent technological level. The question is, how long have they been concealing these advances? The chamber fell silent, all eyes turning to the Earth delegation. Jack stood up, straightening his uniform. Concealing, he asked, radiating innocent confusion. We've been sharing everything. We sent you all our research papers. Sure, they were written in crayon and included lots of smiley faces, but we thought that was just the standard format for scientific documentation. You sent us quantum manipulation theorems in the form of coffee recipes, the Arcturian representative pointed out. Well, yes, Dana chimed in. How else would you write them? The quantum particles get sad if you're too formal with them. And the antimatter containment system disguised as a coffee maker. That was an accident, Dana insisted. We were trying to make a better espresso machine and somehow created a stable antimatter reactor. These things happen. These things do not just happen, the Krix-Tari representative burst out. You can't accidentally achieve stable antimatter containment while trying to improve beverage preparation. Not with that attitude, Tom muttered. Just loud enough to be heard. The Chancellor raised all four hands for silence. Perhaps we should address the fundamental question. Humans, have you been deliberately downplaying your technological capabilities? Jack looked thoughtful. Well, we did try to tell you about some of our advances. Remember that paper we submitted last year? The one about quantum entanglement being like a long-distance high five between particles. The one written in comic book format. Exactly. We included all the mathematical proofs in the background art. We thought the doodles in the margins explaining 11-dimensional space using cat pictures made it pretty clear. And the teleportation device you claimed was a malfunctioning microwave. Oh, that Dana looked embarrassed. That actually was a malfunctioning microwave. It just happened to malfunction in a way that created a stable wormhole to the coffee shop down the street. Very inconvenient, we had to keep paying for coffee in 2 different dimensions. The Chancellor was now on their 6th cup of quantum coffee. The liquid inside was doing interesting things to local space-time, but nobody was brave enough to mention it. So you're claiming, they said slowly, that all of these revolutionary scientific advances were accidents? Well, not all of them, Jack admitted. Sometimes we did things on purpose. Like Dave, we deliberately programmed it to be helpful and friendly. The fact that it can rewrite the fundamental laws of physics while drawing happy faces was a surprise bonus. A surprise bonus, the Chancellor repeated weakly. Would you like to see our latest project? Dana offered brightly. We've been working on something really basic, just a simple matter reorganization device. Though we're having a small problem with it, accidentally creating temporal paradoxes when we try to make toast. The Chancellor looked at their coffee cup, which was now containing liquid in 3 different quantum states simultaneously, all of them delicious. The game wasn't just changing anymore, it had evolved into something entirely new, and humanity was still just warming up. 3 months after what galactic historians would later call the coffee incident, Commander Jack Martinez sat in his office, reviewing the latest diplomatic updates. The changes in Earth's status within the galactic community had been interesting. So they've created a new membership category just for us, Lieutenant Rodriguez asked, scanning the report. Yes, Jack confirmed, sipping his quantum-enhanced coffee, which had become a highly sought-after diplomatic gift. They're calling it unpredictably advanced status, apparently. We're the only species that's ever managed to achieve faster-than-light travel as a side effect of trying to speed up coffee delivery. In our defense, Dana said, walking into the office with Tom, we really wanted that coffee. How's Dave doing with the Council's AI systems? Jack asked Tom. Oh, they're all best friends now. They have weekly dance parties where they solve quantum physics problems through synchronized movement. Yesterday they accidentally proved that the universe is shaped like a coffee mug. Dave drew a very nice crayon diagram to explain it. The commander pulled up a holographic display showing the latest council session. The changes were obvious. Every representative now had one of Dana's quantum coffee cups, and the formerly rigid diplomatic protocols had been relaxed considerably. It's hard to maintain excessive formality when your coffee cup is casually bending reality. Have they figured out yet that we actually do know what we're doing? Dana asked, perching on the edge of Jack's desk. No, and that's the best part, Jack grinned. They've developed an entire scientific field dedicated to studying what they call human accidental innovation theory. The latest paper suggests that our species has evolved to stumble into scientific breakthroughs through sheer enthusiasm and caffeine. Well, they're not entirely wrong about the caffeine part, Tom pointed out. A new message popped up on Jack's display, another request from the Council's scientific division. He read it aloud in light of humanity's unique approach to scientific discovery. We humbly request access to more of your simple experiments and basic research notes. We are particularly interested in your species' ability to achieve revolutionary breakthroughs, while apparently not understanding why they work. Should we send them the antimatter research? Dana asked. The one written in limerick form. With the quantum equations hidden in the knock-knock jokes, Tom added. Jack considered it. Why not? But let's have Dave illustrate it with those cute quantum particle cartoons it's been working on. You know, the ones that accidentally describe a unified field theory. Speaking of Dave, Tom said, checking his tablet, it wants to know if it can teach the Council's systems about dimensional folding through origami. It's already prepared a presentation called Making Friends with Infinity, a paper folding guide to the multiverse. Jack leaned back in his chair, enjoying the moment. You know what the really funny part is? If they'd just taken us seriously from the beginning, we would have shared everything openly. All this. He waved at the various impossible devices scattered around his office. Was just us trying to work within their expectations. And now they're too invested in their theory about our accidental genius to consider alternatives, Dana laughed. Did you see the latest classification they gave us? A species that has evolved beyond the traditional scientific method into a state of quantum uncertainty, where their technological achievements exist in a superposition of brilliant and accidental. Should we ever tell them the truth? Rodriguez asked. Jack looked at his coffee cup, which was keeping his drink at the perfect temperature by slightly adjusting the local laws of thermodynamics. He thought about the 15 years of increasingly elaborate deception, the countless hours spent making advanced technology look primitive, and the entire department dedicated to writing scientific papers in the style of children's books. No, he decided. I think this way is more fun. Besides, they're learning valuable lessons about making assumptions. And who knows? Maybe some of our actual accidents will turn out even more interesting than our planned achievements. As if to prove his point, Dana's latest simple coffee machine chose that moment to hiccup, accidentally proving that consciousness is just quantum particles that decided to be friends. Did anyone write that down? Jack asked. Dave's already drawing it, Tom confirmed. With crayons, of course. It's titled Why Think When You Can Link a Quantum Guide to Making Brain Friends. And somewhere in the council chambers, representatives of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy were earnestly studying crayon drawings of smiling particles, trying to understand how this supposedly primitive species kept revolutionizing science, while apparently not even trying. The game hadn't just changed, it had evolved into something far more entertaining than anyone had anticipated. And humanity? Well, they were just getting started. After all, they hadn't even shown the galaxy what they could do when they were actually trying. Anyone want more coffee? Dana asked, reaching for her latest experimental coffee maker. This one might accidentally solve time travel, but I promise to only use it for getting fresh beans from last week. Just another day in humanity's carefully orchestrated performance of accidental excellence.